Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming on this lovely opening weekend for us today. We've had the weather on our side, luckily, and you've seen a lot of people going about in the red, not just the cooking with the aprons. We've got the Chasin The Racin Podcast, guys, and this is the bike that they're going to be riding this year, the F900R. So, who we have here, introducing you very quickly, we have got, I need you over here, sir. We've got Matthew, Penny, and Tall Tim. Too Tall Tim. They are the meat and bones of this unit, basically. We have the rider, the pilot, Josh Corner, who is 1/4 of the co-host of Chasin The Racin, alongside Christian and Joe Ackroyd, and actually we've got special guests as well, Dom Herbertson, that have joined us as well. Very special. So what we're going to do is this ain't going to go right, especially with him here. He wanted to join in as well. So what we'll do first is we'll go on with the team. So we'll ask Tim, Matthew and Penny a few questions about the bike. So I don't know who wants to ask the first question, but how did it all begin?
We were involved for a couple of years with another rider who finished racing. Tim and Penny were helping someone else last year. I was kind of floating about. We ended up helping Josh, who did a couple of wild cards at the end of last year, and kind of went from there. Really, we went to the NEC bike show, had a few too many drinks, me and Tim, and a couple of months later we had a BM. Pretty much.
We have Dom to thank as well, because he kind of extrapolated the conversation.
Egged it on.
You know, we might be looking to help Josh, and then Dom made an announcement, which I was listening to.
To thousands of people, which made us commit.
Yeah, so Dom.
I must say, mind, I'm going to drop her right in it. That's Grace Rouse behind you. So she's the owner of Chasin The Racin Podcast. We reached nothing right there. She refused to be on camera, but obviously this is Chrissy Rouse's little sister. So when me and Chrissy started the podcast together, obviously with Grace was 14 when it all got going, and amazingly we reached nothing. Depends how many Weatherspoons I've been in. The number gets always bigger, but we reach nothing short of 80,000 people every month. So you can imagine these two, their arses dropped out the universe when I told everyone, 80,000 people, going, oh yeah, they're starting a race team with Josh Corner. So I really pushed them over the edge, and they really haven't forgiven me since. Now they're in debt, and obviously Josh's starting fee at 40 grand per round. It's going to be an expensive year for you guys. You know, it's actually 45.
Yeah. So that's a long answer to your question.
Pretty much.
So we've actually got a F900R as it stands upstairs, brand new, as you get over the counter in the showroom. So as it stands here, what's the process? How do you get from that to this?
Well, I rode that out of here when we picked it up. Paid and then rode it out, So we did 350 miles to run it in, brought it back here, first service, and then it went on the bench, and we buy a race kit from a company called Fortis Racing, and they supply everything, so exhaust, suspension, all the engine protection, bodywork that's not road standard, all sorts of bits, and then we strip it all down, build it up, and away we go from there, really. Every bike has to run the same kit, so all the bikes in the championship are the same, allegedly.
We might get on to that a little bit later.
From the Irish one.
So you've got the bike, you've done a couple of tests?
Yep, did a test at Teesside, done a test at Cadwell Park, got out on it a bit in the dry.
First round?
Maybank Holiday.
Open Park as well, isn't it?
Maybank Holiday, yeah.
We've got a 2-day test before that, or next week.
Yeah,
official BSB test. So there's 7 sessions there, 6-7 sessions, split across a couple of days with the whole BSB paddock, and then straight into round 1.
Boom, brilliant. So,
but as far as a motorcycle goes, like me and Josh actually did a couple of rounds together, and I must say he's the most vicious man who's ever hopped on a motorcycle. So if you want a bit of entertainment, watch Josh Corner, because has anyone here been to South Shields before? Well, you're not missing anything, don't worry, but they're all vicious people. It's great, especially when you put them on a bike. But as far as a bike goes, you know, these are designed to go with the shop on. You know, there is they haven't got, in my opinion, and as brutal as this is, I've raced M1000 RRs around the TT circuit. As a road bike, they don't have the sex appeal of a sports bike. But simply, you buy the kit from Fortis, you put a rear shock in it, you get a conversion on the front, and you can ride these incredibly hard. And I mean, everyone from, hold on, who do we have? Troy Bayliss. We've had Troy Corser. We've had Michael Rutter. We've had
Williams.
Jeremy McWilliams. We've had
Rutter.
Neil Mackenzie. And every single person who's hopped on this bike for a commuter bike have been beyond impressed on it. And the reason the championship, in my opinion, it's come alive is solely because people aren't buying sports bikes anymore. They're buying road-going, flat bar. Honestly,
unless you've got an M1000 on order.
Forget that. But all joking aside, it's a commuter bike that you can ride incredibly fast, and it's actually a shock. And I think there's not a single person that gets on it, especially these rock stars that we just mentioned, who have come off and gone, it's shit. Far from that, quite the opposite. And it's a mind-blowing bike, and the championship is expanding. So this is obviously very short term, just being a BSB. But what other, Tim? Are they going into which countries?
So there's talk about the championship going into France, Germany, and next year USA. So there's potential for it to be kind of like an international race series, which would be absolutely mega.
Talked a bit like a transatlantic trophy type thing, didn't they? So
way back in the 80s, there was something called the Transatlantic Trophy. So those of us old enough to remember that, the Americans would come across and take on the Europeans, and it was a really good series. But as Dom said, these bikes are just so close to one another. They're tightly controlled, so it's all really down to the rider. And there's not so much setup, is there? But really close racing, and probably the cheapest end of the BSB paddock. So
Cost effective.
Cost effective, yeah.
Nothing's cheap.
Yeah, don't tell the wife. But yeah.
that's the bike, by the way.
Don't take too much.
So now, but if you say try the road bike, because running this in -3, it was so much fun to ride. I can't honestly believe how good it was, and so well impressed.
And the thing is, it didn't come with heated grips either.
Nothing. Nothing.
So in October, when they're at Brands Hatch and it's cold, he hasn't got any heated grips, unfortunately.
but Josh isn't a stranger to BSB. You've done stuff. Well,
Whoa! It's the next part of the conversation.
Go for it.
I'm on to him next. He's gonna. First of all, before we go on to the actual rider itself, on the weekend, how does it all work? What's the format, costs, etc., like that?
3 days. So every round, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, unless it's bank holiday. Practice, qualifying. We have heat races, which determines your grip position for the main race. Tim, most likely, be there on Thursday, getting everything set up. Awning set up, gazebos, all the rest of it, bike out, ready to go.
He's drinking pina coladas.
Yeah. Me and Josh, the rock stars, will turn up 10 minutes for first session. And then, we normally get 2 free practices. On the Friday, we get a heat race on the Saturday, and then a main race on the Sunday. So race is generally 8-10 laps, something like that, depending on the circuit. So yeah.
For anybody who's interested, it's always nicer to follow a rider. If you've met somebody, if you go to the race yourself, come along, speak to Josh, and it's so much more fun when you've got kind of a bit of a connection. Yeah. So really, really good to come and take part. And the BSB, we were just talking that in July, the BMWs are hosted as part of the World Superbike round at Donington Park. But credit to Stuart Higgs, the BSB rounds are so much better organised, and there's so much more racing. Whereas the World Superbike round, great to be part of it, but there's quite long gaps in the programme, isn't there? But really nice to be part of it. So what you see on TV, the BSB is actually a really, really good series, and lots of other classes there as well. So yeah, get yourselves along.
With regards to obviously like tyres and fuel as well, what are the running costs?
So we're allowed 4 dry tyres a weekend.
Right.
A mix of front and rears, so what you want basically.
2 fronts, 2 rears, 1 front, 3 rears, unlimited amount of wets. Tyres, cost-wise, 420.
425 quid.
Yeah. So, yeah. On top of that, we've all got to run the same fuel, Panther race fuel, which a 20 litre drum is 100 quid.
So £5 a litre.
Yeah.
So it's a bargain at BP.
And you're doing...
It's a bargain.
But the bad thing about that, it's actually lower quality
Yeah.
than what you get at Tesco's.
Yeah.
It's like only a 90. What's the octane? 90.
Yeah, it's just the
I
fact
think.
it's consistent. That's So
Oh, it's clean. It's
Yeah.
accurate. But in the same breath, you could still go to any fuel station and get a 99 octane,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which is mad. You know, when you think, oh, they have to run performance fuel. Argumentatively, it's not, and you're paying £5 a litre. But then you get dip test, you get checked all the time, and it's like it makes it fair, but it still makes it expensive, doesn't it? You know what I mean? So considering it's shite, they should make it cheap.
And some people, if anyone goes testing outside of BSB, you can run anything you want. But the danger is that you've got traces of your cheaper fuel in the tank, and
they definitely pick it up.
allegedly, those people who've been caught with fuel infringements have said that they were running the cheaper fuel before the weekend, and it's left traces. But other people have said that the foam, the anti-slosh foam you have to put in the tank, people have said that breaks down as well and contaminates the fuel sample, allegedly. So it's all quite well controlled.
So we've got tyres, 420 quid a set, minimum 2 sets.
It's about £1,000 a weekend for tyres.
Entries,
200 quid for fuel.
entries for the season,
£3.5 grand.
3.5 grand, plus any testing on top of that.
Then there's that's before you
That's before
fire it in the gravel as well.
any crashes on top. Everything's got to go back as is. You've got to use BM parts, so there's no cheap replacement parts. So yeah, it adds up.
To put a positive spin on it without being miserable, it's still great fun. Like all this price is driving it down. It's so amazing.
We all know what we're getting into.
Like, what are we doing?
So we're really lucky because Steve, Cameron, and the team here have been really helpful. So to get that sort of dealer support and the chance to get parts at a slightly cheaper, the service parts, like oil and filters and things, that sort of really helps. So we're really fortunate that we've got such a good team. Retailer of the Year, in case you hadn't spotted it, and that's really
It's a good plug. We'll give you the tenner in the pocket later.
Yeah. But no, seriously, it does make a difference, and hopefully when it's on track and it's televised, that the Lloyd's name, Lloyd's Motor Ad, will get a bit
Podium.
On the podium,
Yeah.
or in the gravel trap, whichever.
On the podium.
Podium.
Well, let's get on TV.
So, obviously the pilot here, you've pre-introduced already by Dom as the one and only Josh Connor. Josh has actually been racing before. As Dom has said previously, he has retired very early. The earliest person to retire and then come back racing.
23.
He just learned to shave yesterday. He shaved his legs though. Look at his legs. Super smooth. But yeah, that first stint you've been in, what is your history in the racing side of it?
So raced pretty much my whole life. Started racing mini bikes like most of the British lads. 5-6 years old, went through that scene into the Aprilia Super Teen Championship, which is pretty common route for most British Championship riders, I guess. That would have been 2009, ages like 12 I think you have to be to do that, and then just went on to do 125 GP in the British Superbike Championship, and then just follow the classes through. Basically got up to rode a couple of seasons in Supersport, a couple of seasons in Stock 1000, and had some really good opportunities, but at the end of the day it's difficult to manage it from a budget perspective. I think the way BSB is portrayed and obviously promotes itself as a very high level championship, but doesn't mean to say that everyone's earning a living out of it and getting paid, so it obviously costs a lot of money to do the sport. And had a few seasons where I wasn't racing and just working for various riders and teams as a mechanic. And then the last year got the opportunity to do a bit of road racing, which was great. So I got to go to the Northwest for the first time. I got to be dragged around some fucking scary places in Northern Ireland by this man here, telling us to make sure you touch every hedge in Northern Ireland and that's the way you'll go fast. Well,
Still here.
So that was great, and then that sort of brought on this project, or the making of this project. So the back end of last year, got the opportunity to do 2 wildcards, Donington and Brands Hatch on the previous model bike, and just to be honest, kind of underestimated the championship really, and thought it was going to be, with it being the one make series and there's not a lot you can do to the bikes from standard. I kind of thought it would be an easy championship to jump back into, but I was very wrong. I got an absolute shock when I went out in first practice and I was 22nd, and I thought, right, okay, maybe I should have stayed at home. But had a couple of weekends at it, got going. They're a very different bike to ride to like a sports bike and stuff. They don't have a suspension linkage or anything. It's direct to the swinging arm, so that makes them handle a bit different, and they just have a specific way that they need to be ridden. But after that, we had a good few results, had a good few battles with Dom, because he also did the last round of the championship, and he beat me in one race, I beat him in another, so there's a decider to be had at some point. So
Was that the weaving down the straight that I heard about?
His first race is out in a bunch of there was a few lads in front of him, and they're swerving all over the place to defend their line, and Josh came in. I was parked next to him. He's going, "These bloody riders are dangerous, what they're doing, I can't believe what they're doing."
I
like that.
did say that. That's not what I said.
There was steam coming off him. Now he's back. Now Josh, at this point, like you said, he started 22nd in qualifying, but he's right in the mix. We're talking P6, and he's battling for third, and we're right in this mix, and I'm one place behind him, and he just saw everyone swerving, and he was kicking right off. And anyway, I pipped Josh to the line, came in. Next race, I've never seen a more hypocritical rider in my life, right? He's up there battling for third, he's sitting fourth, and suddenly last lap came, and it was like trying to get his knee down in a straight line. He was just swerving all over the place. I cannot take away from Josh how much racing means to him, and that's why these lads and ladies have taken Josh on board. He lives and breathes this sport, and oh God, on a personal note, I've never been happier to finish a place behind me, mate, because I was crying, laughing, just watching you ride. It was just mint. But all joking aside, exactly what you said, Josh. It's not a championship for mugs.
It's a serious championship, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I think like a lot of people probably had the same assumption, just like I say, with it being a one make series. But it's obviously a very important championship to BMW, and there's a lot of effort and a lot of funding goes in from them as well. There's good prize money and good support with tyres and things like that if you're at the sharp end. And there's a lot of top names. James Ellison's in the championship again this year. Like not so many years ago, he was riding around in the front of Superbike and in MotoGP even. And there's some real good riders in it, and very competitive championship. And like I say, it does force you to kind of focus on the little things. So experience is like quite important.
Craft.
Exactly, in your craft. And absolutely just delighted to be doing it, and even more so in the Chasin The Racin colours as well. I just think that's super special for me. I think everybody else would say the same, so it's just really nice it's finally come together. See it all sat here, and we're a couple of weeks away from round one now, and just really excited to get going.
But if there's anyone out there, all joking aside, if you want to race at British level, this is the way to do it. It's like now we all get scared on the word money, but as far as what is it to build one of these, Tim? How much is it?
So
All joking aside, but
We've got a spreadsheet.
in comparison, like one of my good friends is actually over there, and he rides at stock 1,000.
Yeah.
Now to build one of those bikes competitively, if you in the Honda side, not the BM, the Honda side, and bought a bike, it would cost you 60-70 grand to get you a competitive stock 1,000 bike. And that's at British level, and you argumentatively get the same track time, and it's closer track competition for a bike that's cost how much to build?
So
for that there.
So we're very lucky that, as Dom said, BMW support the series really well. So the purchase of the bike is cheaper than buying a road bike. It doesn't have all the frills on. As I said before, running it in didn't have the heated grips, for example. But So BMW kind of sell it probably close to cost, I'd imagine, and I think that off the top of my head that's £7,000, and basically all of the compulsory race kit that you have to put on, funny enough, costs another £7,000. So as it stands there now, spare wheels, yeah. 16,000, yeah.
16 grand, but then if you go on Sleesby or Facebook or whatever, but you can go buy a stock 600 and you'd spend 20 grand and you'd spend a lot more to keep up to date with the tunes and everything like that. If anyone out there is like generally got someone who's knocking on your door going, how do I get into racing? This is the deep end, and if you're going to go swimming, you might as well jump in without your armbands. And for 16, 17 grand, it is the way to do it. And unfortunately, racing's getting more. Oh God, get the violin out. But like nothing's cheap. If you want to go have a giggle with your mates and drink beer on the night, and subscribe to Chasin The Racin.
we'll do the plugs later. Yeah. Give it time. It's the end.
But what you guys are doing for like Josh, and obviously this is a team effort. Josh is bringing in budget. These guys are providing the bike, and it's hard work. And
should we fire it up?
No,
the sound of it nice, yeah.
But you have to run a baffle, which is a damn shit. But even with the baffle, it's mega, isn't it?
So
I'm getting out the way.
Anybody with sensitive hearing, just cover your ears.
This might blow the microphone.
Watch it not start.
Yeah. Hearing them on the track at Alton Park first round, it is immense. It really is immense. So this prep for this year, you've obviously yesterday done 280 kilometres on a push bike for charity. How you're standing, no idea. But what's the difference of the prep for this year, mentally and physically, from previous years you've done racing?
To be honest, I've probably just physically done a hell of a lot of training, more than I probably have ever done in the past, but I guess I'm just a bit older now and I appreciate what's required.
23.
And I suppose so. I've just tried to do as much as possible because I know these lads have put in, and ladies, have put a hell of a lot of effort in to get the bike ready and stuff. So yeah, I think the biggest advantage you can have in this class is weight. So just concentrate on trying to be as light as you possibly can, really. And the bikes aren't exactly light; they're about 210 kilos or something like that. So take a bit of muscling about.
And what's a superbike weigh? Just for comparison, it's like 100 and...
A superbike's about this, probably about the same.
160, 170?
170, you know what I mean? So they are heavier, but it's because it is a road bike.
I think the superbike's a bit heavier.
Yeah.
Super Sport's 170.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, the bikes are quite a lot heavier than pretty much anything else in the paddock. So yeah, just... The training's good for the mental as well. Just keeps you going.
Keeps you sharp. Now, for anyone who's obviously knows Josh anyway beforehand or follows Chasin The Racin or anything like that, he's actually set up his own club this year called Apex Club. Tell us, for anyone here that might be interested in joining, how to get in touch, how to do it, what they get, etc. like that, so they can follow.
Yeah, so the Apex Club is the supporters club basically. So as we've mentioned just before here, obviously the sport's predominantly run on sponsorship and stuff like that, but it's obviously very difficult for most people to get involved. So we set up the Apex Club as a way for individuals to get involved in a smaller way and get a bit of insight on the behind the scenes stuff. So it's £100 for the year. You get a t-shirt and some other merch with that, and then we'll have things like prize draws and stuff throughout the season for tickets and things like that. If you do come to any of the BSB rounds, you get access to our own hospitality where you get tea and coffee and stuff for free.
And if you get his mobile number, you'll get your cheaper tickets for the BSB. So argumentatively, you're going to save the £100 straight away, and you get a bitchin' hat.
Yeah, so you get
putting that out there, Josh.
Basically, anyone who signs up, we've got a website which we'll put all the links and stuff on the socials page. But you can once you sign up, you get added to the WhatsApp community. So it's a big group. We just post all videos of training, anything behind the scenes. After every session, we do a little update just to. All the stuff you don't get to see on TV, really, and you've got a little base if you come to the races as well.
So where would they go for that?
It's the website is joshcornerracing.com, and then you can, within there is the Apex Club, and you can just check out online.
Perfect. Now, normally what I was going to do is ask some questions for Gracie Rouse, stood there, but she doesn't want to. So what I'll do, I'll ask, obviously, Dom and Josh here are co-hosts, so just basically about the pod, in case everyone's not even seen it before. I don't know how. If you're interested in bikes, they've probably popped up on social media, on YouTube, anything like that. You've probably seen it somewhere. But how did that side of it, start of it, where it's gone, and how big has it actually got?
Probably best to start on
Oh,
that one.
no, it's how it started, and God love him, but Chrissy will tell me off for this one later on, but it was actually his dad's idea. It was Martin's idea of like saying, well, look, we need to start a podcast, and Chrissy, when he was like a dog with a bone sometimes, once he got an idea in his head, he thought, I'm going to get this off the ground. So Chrissy, we actually met at a club called North Hallerton, the Road Racers Supporters Club, and they get like top stars down there, and it's a fantastic evening if anyone's in the Yorkshire area. But Chrissy went up to me, funny enough, at the North East dinner dance one night, and what a laugh that was, because I was absolutely mortal. And now when I get a few drinks in me, I'd start dancing on tables when we top off. Totally inappropriate behaviour really, but that's what life's about sometimes. And at that point, Chrissy went up to me and said, let's start a podcast. And I'm like, aren't you Chrissy Rouse? So Chrissy, he won Triumph Triple Challenge, he won Super Teens. The lad could unbelievably pedal a bike. And that's how Josh and Chrissy got to know each other through the racing days. So anyway, Chrissy got this in his head, let's start a podcast. And he kept asking. And then eventually I went, right, go on, we'll do a couple of episodes. And I remember us two, it was actually my sister's house over the dining room table. We had a couple of microphones and we just started blabbering like shite. As you can tell, I'm full of it. And it just got carried away, and we're high-fiving each other over like 5 listeners, and you think 5 strangers have got together and listened. Probably by accident, probably clicked on and immediately clicked off.
That was your mother.
And no, I banned my mother from watching it, my giddy aunt to her. But it just, Chrissy was one of those human beings. He was a magnet. He was borderline intoxicating because his enthusiasm for life and racing, and he just went, I just woke up and I'm like, I can't be bothered with this. And it's like episode 4 and he's like, come on mate, let's crack on. And he just didn't want to let him down. And it was Chrissy, best way to describe him was like a cute little puppy that's had a shite on the carpet. And you want to kick the puppy, but you're like, I don't want to in the same breath. I love the little thing. And that was Chrissy through and through. And it just grew and grew and grew in his love for the podcast. And Chrissy's main goal with the podcast was giving something back to the sport, and it's so hard when you've got people lined up going, well, we need this to keep racing going. And Chrissy had such pride, and he used to send like Grace at 14-year-old, God love her, it just turned 18, like 19, sorry Grace, there you are, just turned 19. And she's been editing the pods because she didn't want to let Chrissy down. She's doing her GCSEs and also editing full 2-hour length episodes. It's incredible what them two achieve together.
No offence to you and Josh, but we know where the brains are.
It's all Grace. There's no two ways about it. It's Grace's podcast, and she does an amazing job keeping it going. And like I say, we reach nothing short of 80,000 people every month, and depending on the guests, it can flux up to nearly 120. We've had top record. Who have we had on? We've had 237 episodes. 238. I'm looking at Grace right now, and you think and that is for one reason, and that's for Chrissy, because he just loved giving something back. And he used to sit down with me and Grace and go, people, because we continued through with COVID. Nothing. The country shut down, and we were giving something to people, that just blabbering, and people getting involved and buying hats and just having the crack. And Chrissy got a kick out of life helping other people. And when we lost Chrissy at Donington Park, and Grace was the first person to come up to me, Josh, Christian and Joe, and just said, look, we've got to keep it going. And the podcast it is what it is. It's about having a giggle. It's about having a life, and life's too short and you can't take it too serious. At the end of the day, that's why we go racing. If you took life seriously, you wouldn't dare do this.
And there's like a range of guests in there, so a lot of it's road racing, but you've had like Billy Bolt, who's multiple extreme world enduro champion. So there's lots of,
like Speedway. We've had crew chiefs.
Aaron Summers, you've had.
And we've had like Cy King from the Hairy Bikers and stuff like that. At the end of the day, it's just the good thing about the podcast is there's lots of benefits to it, but you don't have to watch every episode. You can pick and choose, and at the end of the day, we're Pirate FM. That's what I like to call ourselves. You know what I mean?
It's definitely better than listening to the radio.
It is. You know what I mean? We're not governed by anyone. You can't take life seriously, man. And Grace has chucked her heart and soul into this, as what and Chrissy did. And I feel like I'm personally dragging it into the floor. So I open apology, Grace. I'd like to apologise for that.
So for those who might not be familiar with it, where's the best place to get it, Grace? You can have it like as a sort of a. You can listen to it.
Yes, come on. Yes, here we are. First time
ever. Round of applause, everybody.
Damn right, I'm putting my cup down. Damn right, good.
So you can listen on all the audio platforms, so Spotify, Apple Podcasts, literally anywhere, and YouTube as well. We're out every other Sunday night, Monday morning.
And the kind of the studio. Tell us about the studio.
Yeah, so when my brother raced, we had like a little box, like trailer, and then we had it in storage. And then when Chrissy and Dom did the podcast, Chrissy just took the trailer away one day, and then got one of his friends to convert it all. So it's all like our sleeping it at racing. It's we can get 2 bikes in. And then that's where all our guests sit as well. So yeah, it's very cool.
Awesome. Good.
To be honest, actually as well, you can become a patron of the Chasin The Racin podcast as well, and you get a bit more information.
Yeah, Grace, how do you sign up to be a patron?
Come on. Yay!
So I can give you the link to it today, but all on our socials we've got it linked. There's 3 tiers, so for £2, £5 and £10 you get different benefits. You get to ask the guests questions that are read out on the podcast, listen to the podcast early, loads of giveaways. And then this year at BSB we're going to be doing loads with patrons. We're going to have a little we're calling it a fan zone for now, we don't really have a name for it, but we're going to be doing loads of things there. It's going to be really exclusive, so it's going to be really good, yeah.
Somebody well trained.
Yeah, definitely.
And one last thing, Dom, can you come here quickly? I know you need to get going soon, probably.
Yeah, I've got 2 bikes to build. with that handsome chap behind you, there's a lot of work to do.
You probably heard maybe a little bit of OMG and WTF. WTF is the road race side of OMG. They've disbanded at the minute, so Dom's obviously trying to get himself sorted for the road racing side of it and everything like that, so he's got a lot on his plate at the minute getting sorted. For yourself, what can you tell us at the minute? What can't you tell us?
If anyone's has been following it, the podcast runs a sponsorship, and we have been incredibly lucky that Alan Gardner, sorry, that's a terrible way to start, I didn't just get his name wrong, but he's been supporting the podcast for many years, and that was because of the love of Chrissy. And unfortunately, the team have ceased all racing activities, and what has actually happened is a sponsor has dropped out. OMG still exists, they haven't gone bankrupt, no nothing. The budget has been pulled from underneath them because a sponsor has dropped out on the 11th hour. Well, actually 11:55, it was that close. We got an announcement, so I was very lucky that I was teammates with James Hillier, and on the OMG side was Kyle Ride, Bradley Ray was making a return back to the championship, and Joe Talbot, who can pedal a bike. And we got a text an hour beforehand, and now, as vicious as that sounds, I actually respect that, because he didn't want to ring everyone individually and have a pecking order. He made a WhatsApp group of all things and said, look, I want to tell you all at the same time because I've got the same respect for you, but it's over for the year unless someone comes and saves us. And that situation hasn't been saved. But we're very lucky that we've had Alan Gardner back on the podcast, and he's actually said everything. So there's a lot of details that he's going to fill us in. He's got a lot of exciting news as well, but it's mental. But on a personal note, I've got I've got some incredible people behind me. I've got a loan of a Honda Fireblade, because that was the bike I was going to be on for this year. I'm building my own Ducati V2 with that handsome devil behind us, and I've also got a patent Super Twin to compete at the Northwest isn't happening for me this year, because the Northwest 200 is an engine smasher and it's a cracking event. Great, but the only problem with the Northwest 200, it's always been a week or 2 weeks before the TT. And the biggest problem with building bikes is never your own. We've all played with Meccano, we've all played with a Lego. Building a bike is actually easy. It's the jobs out of your hand, bend frames, tanks, everything. So we're putting the funding together to go 3 bikes around the TT course, and the biggest thing is people are going, well, why don't you go on one bike? Laps around the TT are beyond crucial. And if you go down the road on a big bike, the arse falls out of your universe, because you're absorbing speed at 190 mile an hour. And then you get on a 600, which is still capable of 160 plus, and it feels like a BMX. And you're riding round and you're absorbing information a bit better. And then when you get on the Super Twin, that information gets easier. And then when you get back on a big bike, you take all that information from your corner speed back up. That's why all the riders take multiple bikes, and it takes, my tyre bill for the 2 weeks at the TT will be 14.5 grand. And for the first time, I was very lucky that I was in a professional status for the first time ever to be riding for Alan. And I'm not a stranger to this, but when you get the news on April, me and my people that I can never ever repay, and I'm not meaning financially, I mean, you can't give someone's time back. Like what Josh and all these guys and girls are doing, you can't replace someone's time, and people who are willing to do that is beyond priceless. But leading up to it, we have a uphill battle, but we are going, shits and giggles.
Shits and giggles.
Shits and giggles.
And the thing is as well, if you find yourself at a TT, it's so open.
It's a proper sport, not this BSB rubbish.
Actually,
you just turn up, drink beer on the hedge, and
walk up to the riders and see them. So you can, if you find yourself at a TT, speak to Dom and see how things are getting on, prep, etc. you don't know, you're just there, aren't you?
That's it.
But yeah, everyone, thank you for listening. You've got, as I say, thank you for Dom. Thank you for Josh.
Yeah, Josh, that's Josh, mate. Yeah.
Tall Tim, Matthew and Penny here, and Grace is sat over there, hiding, for coming in, bring the bike here. They've got some lovely attire here for you to take away. There's actually Alan Carter's book, X-Racer. If you've never read it, brilliant book. Forever Playboy, who's Diabetes Destroyer, Ian Simpson. Fantastic book as well.
That's because he's Scottish.
That's because he's Scottish, yeah. One of us. But yeah, you can buy them here, buy them off it. Brilliant bedtime reading. I'll get you started, finish it before the even BSB starts, and I'll get you into the racing all over again. But thank you, everybody. And if you got some money, add yourself to the Apex Club, get yourself signed on as Patreon. Even if it's a $5 or a $10, give it to Tim, Penny, or Matthew. Help towards the tyres, help towards the fuel.
Better than giving it to the tax man. Right, just putting that out. There's no tax man here, raise your hand. No, I always wanted to catch someone out like that.
I think they're smarter than that.
I know.
And if you go on the actual Chasin The Racin social media, they've actually got a GoFundMe page for yourself. And it is, I just checked not that long ago, it's over the 20 grand mark now.
Yeah.
So they're getting close to the 25 grand mark. So even a pound or anything like that helps. If it wasn't for us helping, sponsorship, throwing money in, racing wouldn't happen. And what's better than having a nice sunny day out on your bike and you come home, watch the superbike racing that. Mint, go to TT, you're sat at the edge of a hedge on a wall, watching these guys go by just for the fun. So thank you everyone for being here today. Give a round of applause for everybody as well.
Thank you. Thank you.
Cameron.
I don't think I'm going to be the fifth one on Chasin The Racin though. Thank you very much. I'd say grab some food, some drink. Yeah, just chill. Any questions at all, ask away. Find them in red. And yeah, thank you very much.